Hello folks, welcome to the Magic Roundabouts. This is video number 1. If you live in Norwich or in the Norfolk area, the Posic roundabouts, the new ones they put in, Magic Roundabouts, and you'll know exactly what I mean. If you live locally, you'll know what I mean. Anyway, my name's Adam, and I'm learning to become a truck driver. Or at least I'm trying to anyway. I just sort of make this video because I want to kind of document my journey and trying to help other people that are also going through the same sort of thing, who want to learn to become a truck driver, and just explain to new people what they can expect, what they need to do, what to be aware of. You know, if you're learning to become a truck driver. So basically, there's a few things you need to think about. All right, if you've decided, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, whether you're a multi-drop van driver, you work in an office, you're a cleaner, whatever, doesn't matter. All right, if you want to become a truck driver, there's a couple of questions you need to ask yourself first. All right, what kind of lorries you want to drive? Mainly, that's the biggest thing. The reason for that is because, if you don't know, there are multiple different classes of HGV, heavy goods vehicles. There are two main classes, Class 1 and Class 2, or commonly known as Cat C and Cat CE. They're the bigger two that you need to remember. Now, if you want to drive Arctics, you've got to do Class 2 first, which is Cat C. And then you need to pass your test for that, and then pass your test for a Cat CE, alright, which is your tractor and trailer unit. But before any of that, when any tests or anything like that, you need to make sure that you have a full car license, which kind of makes sense because, you know, you're not going to jump off a motorcycle and straight into a heavy goods vehicle, because that was just bizarre and ridiculous. So I'd recommend, if you're not driving a car at the moment with a full license, get your full license first, and get yourself a couple of years of experience on the road, because I guarantee you'll appreciate it if you do. All right. So let's just say that you've got your full car license, you want to become a lorry driver, and you want to drive Class C lorries, rigid lorries. You're not too bothered about articulated, so we can also cover that in a different video. And you want to drive your rigid lorries up to 18 tons, whatever it is. So the first thing you need to do is you need to order yourself a D4 pack to get your medical done. All right. Now your medical is a very basic examination that you need to pay for, and basically that just ensures that you're fit to drive a heavy goods vehicle and your vision isn't terrible. If you're worried about your medical, if you're overweight like I am, and you know your vision isn't fantastic, but it isn't that bad, you know, you need glasses, you can still drive a heavy goods vehicle if you need to wear glasses. Don't worry about your medical. All right, I went for mine a couple of weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago now, and it was a toddle. It was really easy. It was a bit weird actually, because when I booked my medical on d4drivers.com or .co.uk, can't remember what it was now. The closest one to me was in Norwich, because I live in Great Yarmouth, and it was it was actually a Premier Inn, I think. Well, no, a Holiday Inn. It was a Holiday Inn, that's right. And you basically go in the hotel, and there's just a doctor in a conference room, and all you do is you walk in, he asks you to sit down, he'll check your full license just to make sure that you've got a car license. He'll ask you a few questions. You do a very basic eye test, anything below the red line, and I think you're screwed basically, but I mean they're tiny letters below that. So anyway, so get your medical done, book that. That cost about, I think the cheapest I saw was about 40 quid, 45 pounds, something like that, and they can go up to about 100 quid. So shop around, make sure you get a decent deal. Don't go for your cheapest option, because you run the risk of not having the proper medical done, and then DVLA might refer it to your doctor, or take ages to get your provisional, blah blah blah. But once you've got your medical, you can then apply for your provisional license. Okay, now this bit is quite important. You'll get a green form, similar to the one you had when you filled out for your car provisional, and you can well, you need to select which class of lorry you want to get a provisional license for. Alright, now the various classes they got on there is the ones we've already talked about, C and C1. Tick both of those. Alright, you'll need both of those. If you want to drive a bus or a coach, it'll be D or D1. Alright, make sure you look up your classes. You can search Google for license entitlements and it'll tell you exactly what they are. So decide what license you want before you do this. Once you've done your provisional, you filled it all out, post it off to DVLA to the correct postcode, otherwise I get lost. Send your license with it, and also send your medical form with it as well. All right. You can obviously they give you an envelope anyway for to post it off. To get your provisional license, it won't cost you anything. All right, so that's free. Whoopee. Then it will take about, well, they say up to about 6 weeks for your provisional to come back. Yes, it can take up to 6 weeks. Mine was about a week and a half. It was actually quite quick. They've just been very quiet. So that was quite quick. You can check your license entitlement online. I check mine constantly because I was waiting for my my provisional entitlement to come through. If you go onto the Gov website and see it, I think it's like check my license or something like that. You can check to see if you've had those classes added to your provisional, and if they have, the next thing to do is to book your theory and your hazard perception. All right, I can't stress this enough. All right, mine is booked for the 31st of July. It's currently the 10th today, and you need to do your homework on this. All right, you can take free tests online. You can buy the HGV books from DVSA and other places, and you can also get your CD-ROMs and things like that as well if that's your fancy. But God forbid, do as many tests as you can cram in. All right. If you have experience in lorries, great. You'll probably do better than most people. If you're new to heavy goods vehicles and things like that in general, don't risk it. I mean, you know, what's the point in paying more for your license for your theory tests? You know, why pay for it multiple times when, you know, just you know, have an extra week just to you know, to make sure that you've nailed it. Because the hazard perception is quite similar to the car one. In fact, it's almost identical, to be honest. It's not really geared for heavy goods vehicles, really. It's just to verify that you can acknowledge and spot hazards from a distance and things like that. So if you've done your hazard perception, you've done it once already anyway, so do that. And then obviously your theory, your multiple choice questions, they are very much geared towards heavy goods vehicles. And to give you an example, the questions that they come up with, it's things like driving hours. That's the big one, so make sure you are 100% on your driving hours. Other things are things like you know, where would you leave your trailer overnight? You know, you're not going to leave it in a car park at Tesco's, for example. You're going to leave it in a lorry park or a well-lit, secured yards, or, you know, something like that. Other things like brake lines. You know, what colour is the service brake line on Arctics? You know, even if you're not going to drive Arctics, you don't want to drive them, you need to know about it because it will come up in your test. All right. So, excuse me. Make sure you brush up on your theory. One thing I haven't talked about is your CPC or your DQC, Driver's Qualification Card. CPC stands for Certificate of Professional Competence. It's quite important you know what you're doing. If you want to drive trucks for a living, i.e. work for a transport or haulage company, you will definitely need a CPC. If, for example, you want to drive a heavy goods vehicle for your own personal use, maybe you ride horses for a living and you've got a horse box, or, you know, whatever your reasons might be. If you want to do it, you want to drive heavy goods vehicles, and it's not for earning money, I think basically that's what it really boils down to. If you're going to earn money driving, you need CPC. All right, now CPC is well, there's 5 modules to CPC. Your hazard perception, your multiple choice theory, your case studies, your CPC demonstration, and your practical test. Now, we've already talked about the multiple choice theory and hazard perception. The next thing is your case studies. Again, this is kind of theory based as well. Essentially, they give you about 8 case studies with about 100 questions spread across those 8 case studies, whatever it is. And it basically say, John has been driving in a truck with his co-driver. It's his turn to drive. Whose car? What mode would you set the tacho in to do that? Obviously, you're going to know that because you'll do your theory. So your case studies, you need to do that as well. The next one is your CPC Practical Demonstration. Now, this isn't your practical test. All right, there's no driving involved. It's a bit like show me, tell me, basically, for a car. And all it is your instructor will ask you certain questions, and it'll be things like how would you prevent trafficking of illegal immigrants and drugs and things like that. Now, when you do your driver training with a company, they will tell you things. They will tell you these things. So you'll know about it. But if you want to brush up on it, like I have, then I would suggest that you go on YouTube and type in TBC Practical Demonstration or Module 4, and it will come up with some absolutely fantastic videos, essentially, about the test, the various things you need to watch out for, all those kind of things. It'll ask you things like, how do you check for illegal immigrants and drugs on your vehicle? And you'll just walk around and basically do walk around checks. You'll check the diesel tank filler cap is secured properly, and you'll check for illegal immigrants on the underside of the truck and in the back and on the roof. And it's just basically common knowledge. You're not going to drive. You need to make sure that if you're on a ferry, you're driving abroad and you come back, you want to make sure there's no Nigerian businessman on top of your lorry or something. It's just things like that. So look on YouTube. Lots and lots of information about. There's quite a few training companies that have done online videos as well. Some are really, really good. So if I remember, I'll put some in the video description for you to watch. Some of the better ones I saw. So yeah, make sure that you know what that is. Because once you've done your practical demonstration, you'll get a certificate, and that'll be almost all of your CPC stuff done. And then it'll be your practical test. So, which speaks for itself. You need to know what you're doing when you're driving a lorry, and things to watch out for, like your tail swing, even rigids as well. So yeah, just be mindful of that. And then you need to pick a training company. So I live in Norfolk, so one of the companies I've been looking at is Martin's Driver Training. I was in contact with them a few weeks ago via email and said, what's the deal? How much do you charge? What kind of courses do you have available? And they basically said that for a Cat C training course, obviously it depends on how quickly you pick it up, and how much training you need. Most companies will do a training assessment to determine how many lessons they think you might need. So brush up on your training as well. And they actually gave me access to their theory portal as well. So that was quite handy, and I haven't paid them a penny, and they gave that to me, so that was good. So I'm probably going to go with them, and then it'll be a test. So money wise, for a HGV license, for your medical, your theory, your hazard perception, your case studies, your practical test, and your CPC demonstration, without the cost of hiring the heavy goods vehicle, you're looking about just over £200, I think it is. So it's not a lot. The big money to spend when it comes to getting a license is the training. That is what costs the money. So most places will charge about £50 an hour plus VAT. So for 3 hours driver training, which is about half a day, you're looking at about £200, which sounds like a lot, but you're only going to do it once, aren't you? So yeah, that's really all it is. I've got my theory booked for the 31st of July. I've got that booked off work. I'm doing my CBC 1 and 2, which is your theory and hazard perception. I'm doing that pretty much back to back. I think it's about an hour in between, because you can't book it straight after each other. It's a bit weird. So yeah, I've got that to look forward to. The next thing I want to do is probably contact a few companies in my local area and see if they need some drivers. The reason for doing that is because some companies will pay to put you through the training, because apparently there's a driver shortage in the haulage industry. So who knows, maybe I'll get lucky and somebody will say, yep, come and see us, we'll pay for your training, and hopefully you pass and you've got a job at the end of it. So happy days. But that's a topic for another video. I am almost home now, so I'm probably going to head off. If you've got any questions or any comments, let me know in the description. Don't forget to like the channel as well. I don't know what it's even going to be called yet, so that should be interesting. And yeah, just you know, subscribe, follow me on my journey. If you're doing the same thing, let me know. If I can help out, I will. And if you've got any tips, you know, I'm all ears, because I don't want you to spend any more money than I need to be. I want to pass this first time. Yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video, whenever that might be. So see you later.